During the 15th millennium, a period of mankind's history began which would become known as the Dark Age of Technology. This was the golden age of mankind's technological advancement and scientific development, which would lead to humanity to colonizing the stars. This age of prosperity would end around M23, with what would become known as the Age of Strife. The lost human colonies would be separated due to a massive increase in warp storms, due in part to the gestating form of the chaos god Slaanesh within the warp, who was taking shape thanks to the hedonistic actions of the ancient Eldari Empire. The Sol system would be isolated, and civilization upon Terra would break down, the once proud nations degenerating into numerous tribes and warbands led by various warlords and techno-barbarian chiefs. During this time, the Emperor of Mankind would lead his legions of Thunder Warriors to conquer Terra, uniting the entire planet under his rule, while at the same time he would begin the Primarch Project, which would also lead to the development of the Legio Astartes, though the embryonic Primarchs would be scattered throughout space, thanks to a warp tear that had opened up upon Terra, distributing the infant Primarchs onto different worlds throughout the galaxy. When the warp storms finally abated, thanks to the birth of Slaanesh and the fall of the Eldari, the Emperor would almost immediately launch his Great Crusade, in order to reunite all of the worlds colonized by humanity under his banner, with him as its ruler. This crusade would lead to the Emperor's forces engaging in numerous conflicts with not only various species of Xenos, such as the Eldari and the Orcs, but also many human empires who desired to retain their autonomy, such as the civilization known as the Interrex. However, some have criticized the Emperor's decision to what is essentially launch the Great Crusade before he and his forces were fully prepared for it. His forces were spread thinner and thinner over a wider expanse of territory, resulting in the legions of the Legio Astartes suffering devastating losses in the process. For example, before they were reunited with their Primarch, the Emperor's Children Legion suffered such horrendous casualties that only 200 warriors of the Legion remained by the time Fulgrim was reunited with the Emperor of Mankind. In order to keep the Space Marine legions up to strength, accelerated gene seed cultivation techniques were implemented, which in turn exacerbated any flaws that might have existed within the genetic stock, such as the red thirst which is witnessed within the Blood Angel's gene seed. In addition to this, forcing worlds into compliance through the use of brute force was the most common course of action, and was even often used in situations where peaceful diplomacy could have been implemented instead, using the presence of the Legio Astartes as a subtle intimidation tactic instead of outright war, which the ambassador Golconda Pyke would explain to the Primarch Fulgrim within the novel The Palatine Phoenix.
I am a diplomat, not a soldier, and having an army of 7-foot-tall killing machines at my back makes diplomacy much easier on the whole.
So why did the Emperor feel the need to rush the Great Crusade, instead of taking his time to consolidate each newly pacified system before moving on? There are actually a few possible reasons to explain the Emperor's decision to do so. The first of these is that the Emperor simply wished to be reunited with his sons, the Primarchs, in order to prevent, or at least minimize, the taint of chaos affecting them. As stated earlier, the Primarchs were scattered throughout the galaxy by the Chaos Gods, opening a warp rift upon Terra, with each landing upon a different world. The taint of corruption had noticeably affected some of the Primarchs, with Sanguinius having developed wings, and Magnus the Red having developed flesh that was an unnatural shade of red. Not only that, but some of the Primarchs had landed upon worlds where the taint of chaos itself was prevalent. Lionel Johnson, for example, landed upon the world of Caliban, which was infamous for its forests being home to chaotically corrupted beasts, and Lorgar had landed upon a world where the native population had a religion based upon the worship of the ruinous powers. This first theory also ties into the second possibility, to spread the Imperial truth throughout the galaxy in order to weaken the power of the Chaos Gods, especially now that their number had grown thanks to the birth of Slaanesh. The Imperial truth was a belief system that encompassed science and logic, casting aside what could be attributed as religious superstition, such as the belief in gods and other deities. The Emperor would order his forces to tear down all religious structures and burn all religious texts as he spread the Imperial truth throughout the stars. One of the possible reasons in why the Emperor would attempt such a thing was due to the fact that during the Dark Age of technology, the Emperor travelled to the world of Molech, and after entering a Chaos Gate, acquired a significant boost to his already impressive powers, as well as the knowledge to create the Primarchs. Since he acquired his newly found power from the Chaos Gods, the Emperor could have then utilised the Great Crusade in order to swindle the Chaos Gods, the Emperor gaining his newfound power from them, and in return sought to effectively starve them by preventing the human race from believing in religious ideologies. The Chaos Gods themselves feed upon the emotions, devotion, and beliefs of mortals, and these beliefs and emotions in turn eventually take form within the warp, as evidenced by the birth of Slaanesh created due to the hedonistic actions of the Eldari. But there is a third possibility, that the Emperor rushed the course of the Great Crusade in order to unite humanity as quickly as possible to stand against a potential encroaching threat that was to occur within the future. The Emperor has been known to have the gift of foresight, which he passed on to the Primarchs Sanguinius of the Blood Angels and Conrad Kurz of the Night Lords. As such, it's entirely possible that either during the Unification Wars upon Terra, or possibly even earlier during the Dark Age of technology, that the Emperor had foreseen a threat so great that it would require all of humanity to stand together in order to withstand it. Although it is also possible that he did not know as to exactly when this threat to humanity's existence would arise. But if this were the case, then what could have forced the Emperor to enact such a desperate mission? One such possibility is that the Emperor had foreseen the coming of the gargantuan Orc warlord known as the Beast, who within M32 had united almost the entire Orc race into a singular, cohesive horde, and as a result of his actions had devastated Imperial space, slaying untold billions of humans. So great was this threat that even the forces of the Iron Warriors Legion, who had turned traitor during the events of the Horus Heresy, had negotiated a delicate alliance with the forces of the Imperium, for the sole reason of preventing humanity's extinction at the hands of the Orcs. One of the other possible threats that the Emperor had foreseen the coming of at some point within the future would have been the coming of the Tyrannids, an extragalactic race that is intent on devouring all forms of life within the galaxy, in order to fulfill their instincts to consume and evolve. While there had been cases of individual Tyrannid organisms being documented as early as M28, the bulk of the race began to appear en masse during the closing days of M41 within the eastern fringes, devastating all worlds that crossed their path. Without a united Imperium, such a threat would be impossible to truly defeat, with humanity only being able to simply postpone the inevitable. Why do you think the Great Crusade was rushed? Leave a comment below, and thanks for watching.